Are you physically prepared for a violent attack right now? I mean, could you physically fight your way out of someone trying to kidnap you or be able to protect your children from an assailant? We're going to seek some answers to those questions today on Black Belt Life. Welcome to Black Belt Life, the weekly talk show about the martial arts journey to black belt and beyond. I'm your host, Darren Myers, and thanks for tuning in. We now officially have our own YouTube channel called Black Belt Life, so please subscribe so that you can receive notifications of when we go live and upload new videos. Plus, we need the subscribers. We just got started, so we're excited about it. So, let's get into this. Last week, we talked about the mental factors, the mental control, the mentality one must have to survive a violent attack from a mugger, a criminal, a thug, Today is part 2 of 3 on the physical aspects needed to survive a confrontation where your life may depend on it. Now, one of the very important aspects and factors in determining the outcome of a fight is oftentimes physical fitness. Unfortunately, fitness is often neglected in our society and even in self-defense classes sometimes. A solid foundation of fitness, agility, balance, strength, endurance, flexibility, all these are going to be needed when you're in a threatening situation. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be something where you can just, poke the guy in the throat and it's over. With a little planning and consistency, fitness can be fun. It can be a routine part of your training regimen, and the physical health benefits of exercise are tremendous. I know I've been exercising pretty much my whole life, and I can't imagine being without it. I can't imagine without being physically in shape. Now, understand that self-defense situations are going to be extremely uncomfortable. I mean, you're going to be forced to do things that you would never choose to do in normal life. You're going to be in comfortable positions. You're going to be, dirty. It's going to be bloody. Who knows? And what we need to do is not avoid training that's going to be physically uncomfortable, but we need to get uncomfortable. We need to get used to that thought and that feeling that this is going to get down and dirty. So what we all need to do is start working out and get in shape in some form. And also your ability to perform self-defense is highly dependent on that fitness. So think about it. How is your cardio? How is your endurance? How is your strength and your flexibility? How are your motor skills? All right. How's your coordination? Can you do 2 things at once? Here's a fun little test to do it. Okay. So take your thumb and your forefinger, put them together, and go from one finger to the other like that. Okay. Now, at the same time, do the other hand. All right? No problem, right? Now, start one hand on your thumb and one hand on your pinky. All right? I hope I can do this live, okay? And now what you're going to do is go in opposite directions like that. All right? So can you do, let's see, I just messed up. Can you do 2 things at once? What are your motor skills like? You have to develop these kind of skills. You have to develop the ability to push yourself through, and you have to have the strength, endurance, and all those things to do that. Now, techniques can definitely give you an advantage, but techniques are still based primarily on your physical skills, your ability to do them. In other words, technique alone is not going to be enough. So if you take a self-defense course, good, okay. But are you in shape to go along with the skills that you learn? We need to be able to generate power and speed to defeat an attacker who is serious about trying to hurt us. Tough thing to do. So work on it. Be in shape, some kind of shape, not just round. Okay, sorry if I'm not trying to offend anybody, but get out and walk, get out and jog. Okay, get out and try to run some sprints every once in a while. The key to exercise is consistency. All right, if you can commit to an hour, 2, 3 hours per week of exercise and make it a priority, your life will improve in a lot of different ways, including your health. Now, physical fitness is just the first step. All right, fitness must go hand in hand with skills and knowledge. All right, you must develop some knowledge of self-defense techniques and skills, which is part of the mental control that I talked about last week. And if you missed that, I'll leave a link below for it. But learning self-defense, like karate or jiu-jitsu or any of the martial arts really, has many physical and mental benefits, more so than a lot of other popular sports or activities. Martial arts training encompasses aerobics, building core strength, increasing flexibility, works on speed and timing and footwork and just so much more. But the core of it is self-defense. So yeah, you're getting in shape, but you're learning to protect yourself through getting in shape. It just goes hand in hand. Self-defense is just a brilliant way and an exciting way to get in shape. So not only is it extremely effective for keeping your entire body in perfect form, but it's also excellent training for the mind and overall well-being. Plus, it keeps you motivated because you're always learning something. It's not like mindless aerobics or weightlifting or something like that, which a lot of people get bored with. Now, what are the best fitness exercises for self-defense? Well, first and foremost, it's got to be running, okay? Because in a self-defense situation, the first thing you want to do is get out of there. You want to run. Unfortunately, we've had 20 mass shootings in the last 2 weeks. 20 in 2 weeks. And we teach an active shooter situation workshop. And if you're interested, contact us. It's free, and we'll give it to your whole company or your church or whatever organization you're with. Anyway, in a situation, whether it be a mass shooting, whether it be a one-on-one attack or whatever, if you can run and get away and put distance between you and the attacker or the shooter or whoever it may be, that's your best defense right there. All right, that distance is going to be your friend, especially in a shooting situation. The further the target is away, the harder it is to hit. If you've ever been on a range, 5 yards, 10 yards, okay, but when it gets to 25 and 50 and all that, difficult. Okay, it gets really, really difficult. Also, think about it. Can you run a 50-yard dash? All right. You may need to escape a confrontation or a kidnapping or something like that. Also, you want to choose compound workouts that focus on core strength. And those are the things that are going to be a must in surviving an attack. It's important to have a strong core, to be able to weather blows. All right. I mean, face it, you're going to probably get hit or grabbed or, slammed on the ground or something like that. And blows to the chest or stomach, sides, back, whatever, the more core strength you have, the more you'll be able to absorb those blows and keep going. Nothing's worse than to get hit once and get the air knocked out of you, and now you can't move. Quick, explosive movements to help with striking and kicking with speed and power are going to be imperative to surviving an attack. So again, getting in shape, learning the skills, that's going to be important. Most important in physical fitness is probably going to be having a solid base. In other words, are your legs in shape? It's one of the most important factors because the legs hold you up. And if your legs give out during a fight, you're going to find yourself on the ground with an attacker, which is not going to be an advantageous position for you unless you're a serious jiu-jitsu expert. All right. But even then, do you really want to be on the ground in the street, in an alley, or, somewhere where you don't know what's on the ground? And also, you don't know how many attackers there may be. What if he's got somebody that's with him and attacking me? You could end up on the ground with not one, but maybe 2 or 3 people on top of you. That's a bad position to be in. So what do we have to do? We have to learn techniques. We have to learn concepts. Now, what we teach in our self-defense seminars is, and in our classes, we have a class we call Urban Defense Fit, and it's about getting in shape. It's about learning how to defend yourself, and it's about learning the techniques. So both of those things together, but it's also about learning the mindset. All right. But you have to learn things slowly at first. Slow is smooth. So you got to learn it slow and get it right. Slow and get it to where the muscle memory kicks in, and now you can do this technique. Now smooth becomes fast. And so now you can take it from slow to smooth, and once you're smooth, you can start to increase that speed and get better and better at it. And then fast can become deadly, okay? Or maybe effective is a better word. Now, in our classes and in our self-defense workshops, what we try to do is we have really tried to change the entire approach, because what we do is we don't go in like we used to years ago and try to teach you 30 different techniques on how to defend yourself. Because if you're taking a one-day seminar on it, what are you going to remember? 2, 3, maybe, okay? And in 2 weeks, probably not even that. What we try to teach is a concept, not techniques. But we do teach some techniques, but we teach a concept. And those concepts are things that can stay in your mind, stay in your psyche, and those are going to be the things to defend yourself. One of those things is you got to understand your physical weapons. All right, what do you have that you can defend yourself with? Okay, things like your palms, okay, your hands, your elbows, your knees, your feet, your shins, etc. What are the physical weapons that your body has that are going to be the strongest parts that you can hit somebody with? And then you need to learn where are you going to hit them? Okay, if you hit a guy in the chest, and I know I had a self-defense seminar I taught years and years ago, and I would always ask people, who's ever been in a bad situation like that? And this woman raised her hand, and come to find out she had been sexually assaulted. And I said, so what did you do? She said, he came at me and he grabbed me and I started pounding on him as hard as I could, but it didn't do anything. I said, well, where did you pound? She said, I was pounding on his chest. And I'm like, that's like Tarzan, okay? That's a very strong part of a man. If she had moved that up a few inches to his face and his nose and eyes, it probably would have had a much better effect. So you've got to learn what vital points of the body, such as the ears, the eyes, the nose, the throat, the groin, things like that, that are going to stop a person with a hit. All right? Yeah, you hit a guy in the chest, or maybe even in the stomach, it's probably not going to do a lot. So you've got to learn those points of the body that are going to make a difference. Then use one of the weapons that you just, learned about, okay, those different elbows and knees and so, and hit those vital strike points over and over and over and over again until the assault stops, okay? That's what self-defense, that's what the physical part of self-defense is about. But it takes training and it takes being in shape. Getting hit is something that, it's going to happen. It probably is going to happen in self-defense. And you have to get into a mindset, like I talked about last week, where you're ready for that. And you're also You're going to be able to, not flinch, not cover up, and not just be the deer in the headlights or freeze. Okay, we're going to talk about that more next time when we talk about the emotional control needed in self-defense. Are you able in a self-defense situation to simply yell? Okay, can you scream? Most people are like, and their lungs just freeze. And what that comes from is what's known as the adrenal stress response syndrome, which I talked about last week, but cover a little bit. The adrenal stress response syndrome is, okay, all of a sudden you're surprised. All of a sudden you're attacked and surprised and frightened. Okay, and fear becomes a factor, which we'll cover next week. And what happens physically is your body reacts to that fear, that stimuli, and your heart rate increases tremendously. Your blood pressure goes up, and your fine motor skills go down big time. So the ability to do the little things that a lot of people teach in self-defense, the little wrist locks and things like that, a lot of those things you may not be able to do unless you've had consistent training and training to prepare you to handle that adrenal stress response. If you've ever been in a situation and you got scared or frightened or whatever, and you tried to run and your legs felt like they weighed 100 pounds each, that's the adrenal stress response. That's kicking into you. And yes, it can make you do all kinds of different things. It can make some people super strong. It can make some people feel like they can't even lift their arms. So the key is training physically, training technically, but also training realistically in a stress response, a situation where we boost that stress and put you in a tough situation. In our, like I said, Urban Defense Fit class, we will do situations where all of a sudden everybody's yelling at you, everybody's giving you, a hard time, and a person's coming at you, fairly hard, and you have to try to react. Okay, and it's a eye-opening experience for a lot of people, to say the least, because a lot of people are like, oh, what do I do? Well, you've been through, however many weeks or months of this training. Use it, calm down and relax and use it. And the calming down part is another important part of it, which I'll talk about more next time, about the emotional part of it. All right, so for self-defense, we're not out there looking for problems, to say the least. Tell you about a situation I was in where that physical control was quite a factor. Okay, I was in a parking lot and a guy had been following me, and I thought I, kind of tricked him, pulled him to a parking lot real quick, and I went to go in the store. Well, he had turned around and come back, and he was right there at my door, and he had a stick in his hand. He was ready to hit me. And I get out of the car, as I'm getting out of the car, there he is. And he says, I'm going to beat your head in, blah, 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 Well, first of all, it was amazing. And I will say this was decades ago, okay, a long time ago. And at that time, I was doing a lot of training in like jiu-jitsu and aikido and things like that, where, learning how to put somebody in locks and holds and actually try to detain them and hold them. And so I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to hurt this guy, but this guy's being a jerk, okay? He's being and I tried to reason with him. I tried to talk him out of it. Say, you don't want to do this, dude, just go home, And, he just was pumped up and that type of thing. And so he lifted the stick and said, I'm going to beat your head in. And I was like, okay, well, that's it. And I grabbed him, I put him into an arm lock, and I thought, I'm just going to control this guy, try to get him, calm down and that kind of stuff. And he rips his arm out of it. And I'm like, what in the world? And so then he's coming at me with this stick, and I get the stick away, and then we're going at it, boom, boom, boom. And I'm trying to get him into, arm locks, things like that. Finally, he got me. I got backed up against my car, and he had the stick back, and he was getting ready to hit me with it. I said, "Okay, this is it." And I kneed him in the groin so hard it lifted him off the ground. Boom! And as soon as he came down, he went to hit me with the stick again. I went, "Okay," and I kneed him again really hard, and he came off the ground. Boom! And he came at me again with the stick, and I'm going, "What in the world?" Come to find out, the next day, or after the cops had caught him and all, he was in the hospital the next morning with his groin all swollen up, and he had been on drugs. I didn't know that. So I'm trying to control a person who's not feeling any pain. All right. So that's a story in itself. But the interesting part was I was in control physically. Okay. Pretty much. I mean, I could physically try to put this guy in a controlling move, but my mentality wasn't there to finish the fight. My mentality was there to just control him. All right. And so, believe me, there was a lot that went on afterwards, and I'll talk about that next time, in my mind about, what did I do? What did I do wrong? Et cetera, et cetera. A lot of self-doubt and things like that. So anyway, you have to have that physical control. So I had the abilities, I had the skills, I had the fitness, but I didn't have this quite where I needed to be. Okay. Of course, we're not out there looking for problems, as I said, but if somebody attempts to harm us or kill us, we're going to make them stop. So we must have the trained skills to do that. Without those, without the mindset and the skills, you're kidding yourself. Skills without the ability to use them are useless. The mindset without the ability to carry out your will is also useless. So skill without the will is meaningless, just as the will without the skill is meaningless too. That's not a tongue twister. It's okay. You have to have both. All right. And next time, we're going to talk about that emotional control that's going to be so important in self-defense. All right. Let me know what you think in your comments. And in 2 weeks, we're going to do part 3, because next week our dojo, Virginia Martial Arts Center, is hosting a spring break week camp. And I'll be here next week just for a brief look at our camp. But join me in 2 weeks for part 3 of this series on the 3 factors of self-defense. I appreciate you joining us. Remember that karate begins and ends with courtesy, and we are responsible for our behavior because actions have consequences. There's no excuse for bad manners, and we lead by example. Stay alert, be safe. I'll see you next week.